And today I'm going to talk about the number one reason why most people don't grow in their wholesaling business. And the only way you can learn is you have to lose your ego. Your ego is your conscious mind's ability to always be right, to be the authority, and most importantly, make you feel important. You see, if you engage learning wholesaling and your ego is fully activated, like it is the rest of your life, you're never going to learn anything. In fact, you can't learn anything when your ego is activated. Why? Because your ego is completely self-serving. And I teach this. This took me a long time to understand in wholesaling. But if you're always right and you're always talking from a point of authority, you can't learn. You don't learn. It doesn't. It does. It's not even wholesaling related. This goes for anything you do in life. If you are constantly going to be right, if you always want to up somebody and you always want to be the center of attention, you will be the most interesting person, but you will also be the most broke person in the crowd. Because the minute you can't receive information and learn from people that are better than you, you're kind of an idiot. And I'm just telling you, I've been in this exact position. And once you let your ego go and you just absorb information and you take a ton of action, wholesaling will change for you. But if you think you got it figured out, especially a brand new wholesaler, and you're going to do it your way, God bless you, is the fastest way to become broke. I'm telling you, you got to lose your ego. In fact, Gandhi's got one of the best quotes I could ever find about your ego. It says, when the ego dies, the soul awakens. When the ego dies, the soul's awakened. Why is that important? Because you just can't receive and you can't learn. Honestly, you can't love other people. You can't help people. And you definitely can't feel people's pain when you're in your egocentric self. Remember, ego is the most selfish thing you can have within your body. Now, we're all hardwired for it. I don't know why it's there. I think it's God's reminder to humble us and knock us back down. But this thing right here, I talk about this all the time. If you don't find a way to lose your ego, you have no shot in wholesaling. In fact, I could tell you this in anything in life. An entertainer, a singer, a dancer, a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, a wholesaler. And you guys know the ones, the ego people can't stop talking about themselves. Everything's perfect. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. And they do 90% of the talking, about 10% of the listening. And when you talk your entire life, you cannot learn. Now, there is a time to talk, but when you're trying to learn a new skill set, that's when you keep your mouth shut. The only way to keep your mouth shut is just bury your ego. And the sooner you learn this, the better. In the beginning, I did keep my mouth shut. I learned more in the first 2 years of wholesaling. It's 2 years after I thought I knew everything about wholesaling. And we're going to talk about that, because if you think you know everything, you are not open to learning and you don't want to do that. So you have to figure that. So that's generalization number one. It is so true today. It's actually more true right now than it ever has been before. The second one, and you all are guilty of this. I know I was brutally guilty of this in the first 5 years of my wholesaling. And you've got to understand, let me slide this up here. Nobody cares about your excuses. No. So like when you come on here and like you complain about something, or you complain to your parents, you complain to your business partner, you complain to the world, you complain to the bartender on the other side of the bar, they really don't care what you're saying. I'm sorry to tell you the truth. I found this out the hard way. Actually, nobody gives a crap about your excuses. They don't care. They're never going to care. And the sooner you realize this, the easier it is for you to actually accomplish something in wholesaling. So every time you bitch, complain, and have an excuse, it is for you. And that's how you feed that ego, that thing we talked about before. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep complaining and bitching. If you don't believe me, just check it out. Watch the people you complain to, watch their face, their eyes. They'll start to look away. Why? Because they really don't care. I'm sorry. People care maybe with their direct family, maybe their parents, their siblings, their kids. But honestly, outside of that, they really don't care. And for the most part, when parents hear their kids complaining all the time, what do? They just start to ignore you. Listen, excuses are a dime a dozen, guys. Everybody has one. And excuses are validation for your ego to be right. So if you killed your ego and you stop giving excuses, you can get anything you done. Anything you want done in life. But if you engage your ego to be right, and then you make up this long list of excuses, the reason I couldn't cold call today, the reason that contract failed, the reason why my bank account is overdrawn, The reason I can't get out of bed today. Honestly, you can find an excuse for every situation in life. So here is a way around it. Just stop with the excuses. They are just your story to tell yourself, to make yourself feel better, to make you feel like you're right, but you're actually wrong. Now, every now and then there will be an excuse, but stuff happens out of your control and you just move on. You can't sit there and complain about it forever. In fact, I'm going to tell you this right now. You have two choices with excuses. You either take an excuse or you take an action. You can't do both. Anytime someone gives you an excuse, it is like a permission slip. So I don't have to do nothing. And you got to give me a self-fulfilling answer and tell me why I'm right and why I need to avoid doing this. I'm never going to give you that pass. So if you know that up front, you can't do both. You're either going to do an excuse, you're going to do an action. Which type are you? Once you realize excuses are nothing more than a waste of time, and honestly, when you're having the excuse talk with yourself internally with your ego, it's even more detrimental because the biggest person you have to battle in wholesaling is always going to be you. It's not going to be anybody else. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Zach. It's not going to be anyone else. You have got to understand that. So if you understand that, you know nobody cares about your excuses. So next time you're like crying on someone, kind of give them their excuse. They don't care. Excuses were designed when you were little kids and you scratched your knees or you went to the dentist and something uncomfortable happened. You cry to mommy or your daddy and you just say, listen, I didn't like that. I don't want to do it again. Blah, blah. But guess what? You're now what we call adulting. And guess what you have to do? You're just going to have to suck it up. You are actually going to have to do stuff that is not overly pleasant. And you're going to have to do it with a smile on your face. And if you can't accept that, fine. Go live in your parents' basement. I don't know what you think's more painful. I'd rather do the unpleasant thing and go have my own place than do nothing and live in my parents' basement. And I'm not directing anybody who's living in their parents' basement, but the reality is way too many people are staying there. So nobody cares. Excuse or an action. Now, we are going to get into the next part here. This one would probably be, God, I think this is the biggest thing that holds almost everybody back on this live stream or anyone who's even attempted wholesaling. You ready? Where did I put it? You're too concerned what other people think about you. Now, I'm not a hypocrite. I've literally fit in this mold for a good 5 to 7 years. Why? I was really concerned and I always wanted someone's okay for any type of new wholesaling technique I did. But I'm here to tell you, you don't stop it. Absolutely cut this one out. This is the most toxic part of you asking other people for permission. So if me and Zach are going to ask you to do it, the reality is 95% of the world won't do. Why do you think 95% of the world's going to support you in wholesaling? They're not. Your parents are going to tell you it's terrible. And what do I tell you? Only take advice from people that you want to be at. Now, most of you love your parents and your family, but honestly, take a financial snapshot and ask yourself, do I want to be in their shoes in X amount of years? And if you don't, then make that change. The problem is, I'm just going to be brutal. I am a father. I have 2 kids. I rather parents tell their kids the truth than sit there with this ridiculous lie. Okay. We start lying from the day our kids are born. We tell them about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and all this other great stuff. When you're young, it's fine. But at what point do we start telling everyone the truth? The reality is sometimes your parents are broke and they don't want to tell you they are. They love you to death and they want you to stay secure. And out of love, they're going to try to surround you and not let you get up. The reality is if you're not happy with that situation, you got to find another way to get there. And it's going to require you to do what 95% of the world doesn't do. That means going to college is not going to save you in wholesaling. Wholesaling doesn't care. I actually think you get penalized for going to school for wholesaling. I went to school, Zach went to school. I'm here to tell you, college did not make us good wholesalers. In fact, it probably did the opposite. So if you understand that, you got to stop worrying about what others think. And let me expand on this a little bit more on you. In particular, when you go on social media. Now, social media is a tool. Either use it or it's going to use you. The reality is I'm using social media to connect with you guys. I use social media to keep up on current topics, to research the things I'm interested in. But I know a lot of it's just BS. I'm not stupid. And you got to understand that too. A lot of you guys go on social media to try to get validation for whatever wholesaling techniques you get. And you're taking criticism from people in the peanut gallery that have never done a damn thing in their life. It is so easy to be a keyboard warrior. And those that are truly talented in life and understand how things work, don't sit there and comment on everyone's comment. In fact, they do it the opposite. The only place I comment is in Wholesaling Houses for Real, because it's the most legitimate wholesaling Facebook channel. By the way, soon to be the largest in the entire world, not just the United States. I will go in there because I understand everybody's in there and everyone understands how me and Zach operate. I do not go on other people's sites and tell them if they're right or wrong. It's just a waste of my time. In fact, I did that for a long time. And all I did is like you get in these, you just waste time. And now I was qualified to answer those questions, but the reality is the people that were coming back, I have no idea how long they've wholesaled. Are they even successful? Do they even have like 100K in their bank account? Probably not. The reality is, if you start taking information from broke people, you are going to become a broke person. So stop giving people complete credit on the internet and think they know what they're doing. Honestly, if somebody is not entrenched 10 years into their business, I would be very concerned to take information from them. And then the fact, if you're going to pay them and take information, even more concerned. Why? Because anybody can get lucky for a few years. You guys realize from 2016, 15, 16 to 2021, anybody who came in wholesaling was successful. And the majority of those people that came in that wave came out, more than half of them are gone. Now, I've been in wholesaling 21 years. I've watched them come and go all the time. I'm just telling you, stop taking advice from people on social media. You have no ability to know if they even know what they're talking about. And most people just want to judge and pass judgment. Why? Because it makes themselves feel better. Remember, we talked about the ego. What happens when the ego, when you feed it, you got to hurt somebody else usually to make that happen. So stop being so concerned whatever everybody else think. I'm sorry. This includes your parent, your aunt, your uncle, your sisters, your brothers, everybody. Stop it. They're not going to live your life for you. In fact, I'm here to tell you, nobody's going to save you. And once you understand that, like I knew when I went into wholesaling and somebody taught me this, I knew I had to put in the work. And every time someone tried to give me a shortcut, I fell for it for a few times. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do the work. I'm no different than this guy, than this girl. And I just said, screw it. I'm just going to do the work. And once I put in my 2 years of hard work in wholesaling, man, it was a lot of fun. But I tell you, cutting that first 2 years, it was touch and go a lot of times. I was very confused. I was scared. I constantly wanted someone to look over my stuff, which was a terrible, terrible idea. And I look at it and it takes a lot of you guys out. You keep worrying about what other people think. The reality is if they're broke and they're just trying to fight for themselves, for them to make themselves feel better, they're usually going to pass judgment on you. And if you're doing something they don't understand, which I guarantee you they don't understand, they are not going to agree with what you do. And so many people get hung up. So many people's dreams and ideas get killed on this right here. Guys, come on, man. Don't let other people tell you what to do in life. You are smart enough. You are getting great information from me and Zach. 28 years combined experience, and you got the young and you got the old guy like me. Like, there's not much you can throw at me in wholesaling that I haven't seen or haven't done or tried. So if you have a question or a concern, we're here to answer it for you. But I'm here to tell you, I don't know everything about wholesaling, and anyone who says it does, they're completely lying. But I know quite a bit. I know more than the average person. That's all I know. And I leave it at that. There's some people that know more than me. I'm sure there is. But are they willing to share the information at the same level I am? Probably not. And that's the benefit you get working with me and Zach. So if nobody's going to save you, what are you waiting for? It's only you. A software is not going to save you. Tony Robbins not going to save you. He'll help you. Grant Cardone's not going to save you. He might help you. He's not going to help you in wholesaling. He's never done it before. So you always want to take expertise, training and expertise in the field that's where someone's committed to, meaning they don't go out, they don't try to teach you crypto, they don't try to teach you NFTs, all this other crazy stuff. Why? Those types of people are money grabbers. So when something comes hot and they get a following, they want to shove everybody over to the following. I don't do that. Honestly, I'm a rookie at all that stuff. I'm clueless. I buy Bitcoin just like you guys do. I buy it and just cross my fingers, because that's all I can do, because I'm not in control of the supply and demand of it. I have theories, but honestly, till I had 10 years of solid like returns and Bitcoin, which is going to be a long time for me because I haven't had solid returns in it. That's why I love real estate. It's my wheelhouse. It's what I love. I feel like I have complete control from start to finish in Bitcoin. I'm guessing, and I know it. So what I want you to understand is, if you know that and you know no one's going to save you, you've got to understand this. You've got to be the exception, not the rule. So if you're going to do what 95% of other people won't do, why do you think you can run life like the other 95%? In fact, a lot of you guys from Thursday on, just treat like you want to be part of the norm crowd. And then come Monday morning, you want to be a badass and start swinging wholesaling. You can't, you have to commit all 7 days. The difference between Saturday and Tuesday, there's no difference to a wholesaler. Sorry. Guys, for the first 2 years, the first year, 7 days a week. And then the second year, I went 6.5 days a week. I never stopped. In fact, I was trying to get ahead of everybody else. And the only way I could do is just meet and converse with as many sellers as humanly possible. And I want you to understand that you have to do it. So in order for you to be the exception and not the rule, you're going to have to do something nobody else is willing to do. But here, before you do anything, you have to understand this. This is the part that drives me nuts. Okay, you ready? You got to make a decision, man. A lot of you guys are watching this video right now. And you're like, wholesaling is kind of cool. And you're talking about the theory, but then you're thinking about all the work you have to do. And I trust me, it will be work. And then you just sit in this maybe zone. And you're basically sitting in what means that called the friend zone. Not quite to make a decision. I want to do it because it's teasing me just enough to get me out of my old life. But I don't want to make that kind of commitment because then it gets real. And you have to be accountable to yourself. Well, guess what? If you don't make a decision, you already made it. You have a choice. You have to decide what you want to do. Because guys, no one's going to help you out here. I'm telling you right now. I'm just reading some of your comments on here. So you've got to understand that. So you got a choice here. You ready for this? You're either going to thrive or you're going to die. I'm sorry. I know that's brutal. It is the absolute truth. Why? Because if you make a decision and you decide to be the exception, not the rule, and you take action, and how do I start? Go over to freewholesaling.com, jump in, immerse yourself, and get started. What happens here is when you do this, amazing things will happen in your life. And basically the old version of yourself will die off. And to me, that is a great thing because we are just like a crab, any type of mollusk. We have to shed our shells every year for us to grow and be bigger. So now you're in 2024. You decided you want to make a change. Either kill off the old version of you and thrive in the new one, or stick stuck in that shell trying to figure out how to separate. Because if you don't, you're going to be in that shell forever. I've been in that shell, guys. And when you stop growing, you know exactly what I'm saying. The average person by the age of 33 are so set in their ways, 32, 33, and your brain's fully developed and you just sit there. So guys, what's the difference between you ever meet like that old person, they're stubborn, everything's like a nasty comment, life's just brutal and bitter. That's what happens when you stop growing. They stay in the old shell and they sit there for 50, 60 years and they never become better. If you want to thrive in wholesaling, you've got to understand you are constantly going to adapt yourself and change yourself. And I think it's for the better. Because to be successful in wholesaling, it will require you to be a different person than your old version of yourself. Dude, I'm living proof. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be where I am. You got to understand, I was a regular blue collar guy, dude. I like to work with my hands. I was really good with it. I'm actually really smart. I just learned very different than most people. And I was made fun of my entire childhood for my ADHD, which I didn't even know what it was at the time. I just knew I was different. And my parents didn't diagnose me. In fact, it was quite the opposite. So I was a thrill seeker, anything for attention, anything to get wild. I just had a lot of energy. And so here I am, fast forward today with a 54-year-old adult with a ton of energy. And honestly, without a wholesaling, I don't know where I would have wound up. Yeah, I probably just would have been stuck in a corporate job, probably earning 100, 150 grand a year and probably be miserable. So I did it for 12 years and I hated every minute of it. And if you can relate with it, you're in the right place because my greatest day ever is when I fired my boss. So what did I do? So let's talk about the patterns you need to do to actually make a change so you do not get stuck in these like ridiculous growth cycles. And every wholesaler I've seen. So in the beginning, you just got to be open to learning and stop trying to use your old goggles, the ones that got you to where you are in your wholesaling business. Why? Because they don't work. Remember, we don't go to work 8 hours a day. We're not paid per hour. We're paid per based on our productivity. So the average 8-hour a day worker, they only work for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So you showing up and punching the time clock, which is what you've done your entire life. Think about this. When you went to school, what'd you do? The bell rang. You had to be in your seat. If not, you got a tardy. You had to go to the bathroom. What? You had to get a bathroom pass. You had to get a hall pass. You got a lunch hour. You got to check back in. That entire system groomed you for your career, your job. Remember all your counselors told you, hey, listen, you're going to get a career. You're going to get a job. Guys, it's modern day prison, my friend. It's the worst thing you can do for your life. I'm sorry. I'm not, if you have a job, I did the job thing. I did the college thing. It was a complete train wreck in my life. None of it was bad. I got married. I had kids. I went to school. I just wasn't happy. I was getting fat and out of shape. I got lazy and I did whatever I could do to kill the time. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like I just get a vacation a week or two a year and just live for that moment. Honestly, you need to create a life that you're basically on vacation every day. And you can do that in wholesaling. Here's the key. You're actually going to have to put in the work for it. There's going to be no exception for it. So you're either going to thrive or die. How do you start doing that? I'm telling you right off the bat, you have to have a belief. And has to be something that's near and dear in your heart, like memorized and burnt in your brain. So I always bring you back to like, what was my belief? What got me out of my corporate structure, my dead end job, my corporate hell, as I call it? I had a belief. And my belief is I want to spend as much time with my children and my family as humanly possible while being present. I never started out saying, I want to make $10 million. I want to make $1 million in like a year or two. See, those are not beliefs. Those are just requests. So a belief has to be something that satisfies you with him. I just wanted to spend more time. My father never spent any time with me when I was a kid. And I wanted to fix that. And I know how quick kids grow up and how fast time goes by and how short we're on this earth. And once I decided to do that, everything slowed down for me. I got a firm grasp on it. My ADHD, I could actually work with it at this time. And that's how I attacked it. My belief was I wanted to spend as much time with my loved ones as possible and be the person who's in charge of my time. Now, if I knew if I helped out enough people, the money would come with it. And for God's sakes, it did. In the very beginning, it was a little nerve-wracking because I did work a full-time job and did this. So I started with a belief, and here's what do it. And this story is so true. You could ask my wife. I took a dry erase marker and I wrote it on the window. I wrote it on the mirror in the bathroom. I had to stare at it every day. Why? Because you guys all stand in front of the mirror, women a lot more than men. And some of you men need to stand in the mirror more and just look at it. And what if it resonates with you and it gives you like goosebumps or it like drops a tear in you, that's a belief. That's a belief that you can go all in on. Because when you get doors slammed on your face, people hang up on you, and people being nasty to you, you better have a great belief. Now, here's the really cool part. The belief, easiest part, because it's like everybody can come up with a belief if I spend enough time with you. And your belief can't be, I want to earn $1 million. That's not a belief. That's a request. I really got to fix some stuff in the studio. It drives me nuts. Your belief has to make sense to you. It's got to be wholesome and something that you're striving for. It can't be, I want a red Lambo in my driveway. It has to be something that completes you, and it can't really necessarily be financial. Now, the financial will come with it. So if that was my belief and you understand that, the problem with people's belief, they rarely stick with it. In fact, I'm here to tell you, in order to have a belief to become effective, you have to add one more level to it. And and what do I mean by conviction? Conviction is the hard, fast armor you wear. It says, no matter what anybody says to me, no matter how much they laugh at me, no matter how much they get screamed at, no matter how much my mom yells at me, my dad yells at me, I'm all in wholesaling and I'm going to get this done. I don't care what they do to me. So if you want to think about it, think about the guys that had to get off the boats on Normandy Day. If you want to go check out the videos, it's to me, the most challenging situation you put in life. You're coming off a ship with doors opening and nothing but bullets flying into you. And most of the people around you are going to die. Now, it's not as severe in wholesaling, but why did those guys get off those ships? They had a belief, they had conviction. I know they're in the military, but it takes guts to do stuff like that. And if a man can do something like that, what can you do? And sometimes we think about modern day limitations and the heroics of people of like D-Day, it to me still astounds me to this day. Get off a ship knowing most likely you're going to die to fight for your country's freedom. Absolutely insane. So now I'm asking you to use your conviction and your belief to fight for your freedom. See, conviction is no matter what happens, you're getting back up. Just like the fighter, he gets knocked down a certain amount of times, they get back up. You have to do the same. And if you don't, you'll never make it. See, most people have a belief, and the minute someone challenges you, goes, what's this wholesaling crap you're doing? This just looks illegal, looks scamish. Are you scamming people? And then you go in this massive defensive with them. You don't understand. Wholesaling is great. It's a great way to make a ton of money with a little amount of risk. And like, there's no way you can do that. Number one, you shouldn't even argue with these people. Go, listen, it's my choice. It's what I do. Love you. That's it. And once you learn to stop arguing with people like this, they're never going to get it. In fact, they are trying to break you down to make themselves feel better. And if you know this up front, you don't have to engage in these ridiculous arguments. I used to fight people all the time in my 30s. And let me tell you, I know that's not the youngest time to start wholesaling. It doesn't matter what your age is. It's about what your beliefs are. But without conviction, man, these people will tear you apart. Let me know in the comments if you have this problem. Like, people always like, what the hell is it you're doing? Most people have no idea what I do. To this date, when people ask me what do I do, all I do is this: I do real estate. Oh, you're a broker? A little bit different than that. I have a good time. That's it. I don't explain what I do anymore because it's honestly 9 times out of 10, it's a waste of my time. I don't need deals from family. I don't need them from friends. In the beginning, I told everybody what I did. And honestly, I think it hurt me. Why? I was trying to get business off them, and I did get business. Trust me. I got like 3 or 4 deals off family and friends, but man, I paid a hefty price tag. Why? Because they all sat there and judged me. I can't believe you went to college to go like sell houses. Okay. That's what you think I do. And now, like, I fast forward today, it's absolutely hysterical. They still don't know what I do, but they know I have more time than anyone else. I have a lot more money than most people, and I just don't care. Like, I honestly don't care. I don't have to explain it. Heck, my own in-laws don't even understand what I do. And this goes back to the thing when I said, like, nobody else cares, especially about your excuses. They just don't care about anything. So the best way to show people something, instead of flexing your mouth, flex your bank account, flex your wholesaling, and flex them with freedom of time to do whatever you want in life. There is nothing better than flexing on someone when I can go fishing Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, whenever I want. Why? Because I can. I've put in my time. I've done 21 years in wholesaling. I love this business. I'm one of the rare few that never leaves it. Why? Because it's extremely profitable. Only people that aren't profitable leave wholesaling. Let me repeat that again. Ready for this? The only people that ever leave wholesaling are the ones that weren't profitable doing it. Now, some of them go on the fix and flip and bigger journeys, buy whatever store you want. If you're really good at wholesaling, why would you ever leave it? Because you run it like a business and you can go open up other businesses and do things. That's what I did. But I'm not here to judge. I'm just giving you the truth. So I told you I'd save the best for last. This is the truth. And this one's going to sting. And I am just, look at me as the father, that hard father on you. Because I wish my father would have hit me with this crap when I was young. I swear to you. And if you're a young man or a woman, I want you to understand this. If you can grasp this next statement I'm going to put up here, your entire life will change. Because I learned at a young age, I spent most of my childhood people lying to me. Now, I'm not talking about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I'm just talking about outright lying to me. And you know what I figured out? Unfortunately, I figured this out later in life, and you can figure out earlier, is you and only you have to stop lying to yourself. If you're in one of those families, and put it in the comments that everybody just lies about everything, you have to find a way to stop lying to yourself. And most of the lying, because everybody lies in this world, it's just a pandemic at this point. It's so bad. I don't believe anything anyone says to me anymore. Remember, I watch what people do. I'll listen to what you say, but I don't put a lot of stock into it. And I've learned this because I've been doing this so long. I understand my biggest change, what gave me the most growth in wholesaling, is when I raised my hand and go, I know I can do a lot better. And I found out and admitted the stuff that I sucked at. And I decided not to keep telling myself a lie. And I reached out and I had people that truly I trusted and that were sincere about wholesaling helped me out. That's it. Guys, for 7 years, I did everything in wholesaling. I met with the sellers. I met with the buyers. I dealt with any type of repairs, like any minor type of stuff. I did all the marketing. I handled all the inbound calls. I did outbound calls. I did door knocking. I did driving for dollars. 7 years. You know how stupid that is? Now, here's how I look at this. This was a blessing in disguise. And I get made fun of all the time by other wholesalers. Like, I can't believe you were stupid enough to do this business 7 years all by yourself. But I have like a PhD plus in meeting with sellers. And that's why I'm so good at sharing information with you guys. That's why I helped my son give him the best head start I could at age 16, because I went through these trials and tribulations. Now, I went way too long. I should have got a lot more help, but that gave me the experience. I think I've met with more sellers than almost any other wholesaler on the internet, period. Why? Because 7 years. Who does it for 7 years? You know why I did it? because I had that blue collar mindset. I just wanted to keep working and working on my business. I was scared to bring in other people. I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to recruit. I didn't know how to manage them. So I did everything myself. And this is a problem, mostly in America. I'm sure outside of America. But the reality is, I can teach you the skill sets. You don't have to do it all 7 years. But how cool is it that I did this for 7 years? I had my son work in my business for almost 4 or 5 years before I even shared him with you guys. And I learned some basics when I met, when I was doing it with my son. I was brutally honest. I told him this. I told him, I'm not a cold caller. It's not that I'm scared of it. I just haven't put any time into it. And if you can help me figure out cold calling, we can do a ton of deals. Dude, the kid went crazy on cold calling. He went back and reinvigorated my bandit signs. He reinvigorated the entire SMS text campaigns, everything. Why? Because I finally admitted I'm not good at it, and I had him do that. And before that, I hired a lot of people that took a lot of my money and never did a damn thing. Tell me if you can relate. So once you stop lying to yourself, you can do anything you want in this world. But if you can't tell yourself the truth, you go see a therapist and anything else. What do we do? If you have problems and you're not going to be truthful for yourself, and you say you hire a therapist, maybe even a consultant, what you tell them the same lie, and they can only feed you based on the information you're giving them. And once you understand that, you're golden. It is hard to admit when you're not good at something or you have a weakness. And it's actually a power. It's not a curse. And when you admit it, you can find a way to work on it and fix it to go forward. If you constantly lie to yourself, I'm the greatest wholesaler, I'm so good at this. And the reality is you want to post on everybody else's post on wholesaling, and you've only done one deal, maybe 0 deals, and you make everybody else feel small because you don't have the cojones to do this. That's what I'm talking about. Just be brutally honest. The sooner you're honest with yourself, the easier this is. But in fact, most people I talk to in wholesaling, all they want to do is just lie and tell me how great their business is. Sometimes you just need to tell the truth. I had a 2-month run. I didn't get a deal. I really thought I was losing my mind. And you know what it is? I just got stubborn. I got stuck in a certain type of marketing, and I refused to pivot and change. And until I accepted I'm not good at this part, I need help with this, I could not grow and I could not change. And that all came in when I decided I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. So most of you all have an internal conversation with yourselves and you don't tell yourselves the truth. And that's some of the problems we have here. So guys, tell yourself the truth, because once you know the truth, you can now go seek help to fix it. And a lot of times it's easy stuff, and not everything costs you money to fix it. Don't be fooled with that. If you'll go out and use your resourcefulness to find guides to help you, there's tons of stuff on YouTube. You guys use YouTube to help you out in wholesaling. Why not anything else in your life? So once you stop lying to yourself, you all know that people always go like this, Rick, things happen in threes. Like this happened bad and 2 more bad things are going to happen. Guess what? The complete opposite can happen to you. So we all know about a downward spiral. I know me and Zach talk about the upward spiral. You just need one good thing to happen in your life. So if you want to start out with wholesaling, you basically just start your upward spiral. Things have to build on each other. Listen, the only one-off that will ever work in your life, and it's slim to none, and I stay away from this with utter conviction, is a lottery. It's the only way you're going to earn like $50 million overnight. But you know your odds of winning it are so slim. What if I could show you how to put 10, 20, 30 grand in your bank account? What if I could show you how to put 100 grand in your bank account? And I'm telling you, you can do it with high success. Not 0.0000012, and you got to give me like $50 just to give me a shot. What if I show you how to do it for free and your success rate is actually very high? Would you do it? A lot of you won't. But then you go out and buy a lottery ticket, because once you buy a lottery ticket, you've accepted the fact that you need somebody else to bail you out. If you think you're going to sit around for Social Security, if you think your 401k, all this stuff's going to save you, you guys, we have some crazy things happening in our world, and I don't want it to happen to you guys. You have to take accountability for yourself. And if you understand nobody else is going to save you, once you understand this, I don't care if you're a guy or a gal, and go, listen, I got to stand up and fight now. Here's the awesome part about wholesaling a lot of people don't talk about. When we talk about growing, one of the biggest things is you never really have to retire in wholesaling. There is no retirement plan. There is no retirement package. Here's your retirement plan. Build a business that's so good to you. Teach good people your skill sets, bring them in the business, and it's the most amazing retirement vehicle you ever have in your life. I will never let go of my wholesaling business. In fact, my goal is to do a wholesaling deal the day I die. Why? because it feeds me. I love it. I'm addicted to the rush of wholesaling. Guys, you can decide which one to be addicted to. I like the rush of wholesaling. I like helping people out. I love chasing real estate deals. Everything else is kind of a bore to me. And this is where I'm at with it. And if you want to do that too, you've got to understand nobody's else coming to say your parents aren't going to save you. You're like, well, my mom and dad said I could live with them. The reality is you got to get off your butt and get stuff done. Stop depending on other people to save your butt because it's not going to happen. And the sooner you understand that, the easier this is. So let's jump over and do some comments, and we'll do some one-on-ones here, and we will go on with that.